Get ready to dive deep with us today as we explore the Iron Riders Motorcycle Club.
Yeah, this group, they're featured in the Modern Mythology ttrpg, and they're really something else.
Definitely not your typical biker gang.
Not even close. We're talking superpowers, alien tech, and a whole lot more.
It's almost like they jumped straight out of a comic book.
But with a twist. You see, this infamous supplement for the game dives deep into who they are.
Giving us a glimpse behind the curtain of their world.
And it's a world that blends family drama with, well, with some pretty intense supervillain stuff.
Yeah, I mean, where do you even begin with a group like this?
To really understand the Iron Riders, you gotta go back to their roots.
Before the superpowers and the alien tech.
Right, back when they were just the Iron Masters, a pre-Nemesis biker gang operating out of Seattle.
Led by Clint Forge Mallard, a name that'll become pretty significant.
Exactly. He was already a hardened criminal back then, but the Nemesis event changed everything.
That's where the superpowers come into play, right?
For Forge, it was like his inner fire was ignited, literally.
Literally.
He gains pyrokinesis control over fire.
That's quite the upgrade from just running guns and drugs.
But the changes didn't stop there. His wife, Della, underwent an even more profound transformation.
What happened to her?
She becomes Whisper, a powerful magic user with a connection to something ancient and dangerous.
Whoa, so we're talking fire powers and magic now.
Yeah, things get pretty intense with these two.
So how do they go from a regular biker gang to this super-powered force?
Well, the Nemesis event didn't just change them individually, it changed the world.
Creating opportunities for a group like the Iron Riders to rise to power.
Exactly. They saw the chaos as a chance to carve out their own piece of the pie.
And they weren't afraid to use their newfound powers to do it.
Their son, Alex, he also develops powers energy manipulation.
So it was a whole family affair.
You could say that the Iron Riders are as much about family as they are about power.
Okay, but family and supervillainy, those don't usually mix well.
It's a volatile combination for sure, but it's also what makes their story so compelling.
I can see that already. It's like a Shakespearean tragedy waiting to happen.
And that's where the comparison to Sons of Anarchy comes in.
That biker gang TV show.
Exactly. The supplement really leans into that family dynamic.
Showing how their loyalty to each other is both their greatest strength and their biggest weakness.
They're bound by blood, but also by their shared ambition and their desire for control.
So it's not just about world domination or some grand evil scheme.
It's more personal than that. They want to protect their family, build their legacy, and rule their own little corner of the world.
And that corner of the world is Butte, Montana, right?
Right. They chose Butte for a reason. Its isolation, its proximity to the Canadian border, it all played into their strategy.
So they weren't just picking a random spot on the map.
Not at all. They saw Butte as a place where they could operate under the radar, build their power base, and establish their own rules.
It's like they're creating their own kingdom.
Exactly. And they rule it with a mix of brute force and a surprisingly pragmatic approach.
Okay, now that's something I wasn't expecting. How do they balance being supervillains with being, well, I guess you could say responsible rulers?
It's a delicate balance, but they manage it. They invest in local businesses, they offer protection to those who cooperate, and they even intervene to resolve disputes within their territory.
So it's like a twisted version of community policing with a superpowered edge.
Exactly. They understand that chaos is bad for business.
And they are, at their core, a business, albeit a very illegal and dangerous one.
They want to maintain control, not just through fear, but also through a certain degree of order and stability.
It's almost like they're providing a service, in a way.
A very twisted service. But yeah, they offer protection, stability, and a sense of predictability.
But let's not forget, they're not afraid to use violence when it suits their needs.
Absolutely. They're still a biker gang at heart, with all the ruthlessness and brutality that comes with that territory.
So it's a balancing act, a game of power and control.
Exactly. And their family ties, their loyalty to each other, that's what allows them to play that game so effectively.
Okay, I'm starting to see the complexities here. No, this isn't just a black and white story of good guys versus bad guys.
There's a lot of gray area with the Iron Riders. They're driven by ambition, by loyalty, but also by a need to survive in a world that's been turned upside down.
All right, so we've got the big picture, but now I want to dive deeper into the individual members of this superpowered family.
Sounds good. Let's start with Bolt, the conflicted hero at the heart of it all.
Because his story, it really highlights the moral dilemmas that come with having extraordinary power within a family that operates outside the law.
He's the one to watch, for sure. He could be their greatest asset or their biggest liability.
Okay, I'm hooked. Let's unravel the mystery of Bolt and the rest of these Iron Riders.
Welcome back.
It feels like we just scratched the surface of the Iron Riders last time.
Oh, there's so much more to uncover.
Like, how do they actually operate as an organization? I mean, they've got their headquarters in Butte, Montana.
Right, the smelter, they call it.
But how do they maintain control over a whole city?
Well, it's not just about brute force, although they're definitely not afraid to use that when necessary.
I bet not.
It's also about strategy, alliances.
And a bit of playing the long game.
Exactly. They've created a system that, in a way, benefits Butte.
Memphis Butte. I thought they were the bad guys.
Well, they're definitely not saints, but they understand that a stable city is good for business.
So it's like they're providing a service.
A twisted service, yeah. They offer protection to businesses, they resolve disputes.
They even invest in the local economy, according to the supplement. It's a bizarre mix of self-interest and community engagement.
Exactly. They're not just plundering Butte, they're trying to manage it.
In their own unique way.
And it's surprisingly effective. They've managed to maintain a level of peace and order.
Which is more than you can say for a lot of places in the post-Nemesis world.
And that stability attracts people. People looking for a safe haven, even if it means living under the thumb of a superpowered biker gang.
It's like a twisted version of the Wild West, with meta-humans thrown into the mix.
Exactly. And Forge, he's like a modern-day outlaw baron presiding over his domain.
And Whisper. What role does she play in all of this?
She's the wild card. She's not as interested in stability and order as Forge.
I can imagine, with her connection to that dark entity.
Her ambition is more chaotic.
She's not afraid to use her magic to manipulate events, to push things in her favor.
And that creates tension within the Iron Riders.
Between Forge's desire for control and Whisper's willingness to unleash chaos.
Exactly. It's a dynamic that makes their story even more unpredictable.
So they're not just fighting external threats, they're also battling each other.
In a way, yeah. Their internal conflicts are just as dangerous as any outside force they might face.
Okay, so we've got this power struggle at the top, but what about the other members? We talked about Bolt, but who else shapes the Iron Riders' decisions?
Well, there's HV, Forge's second in command.
He's the one with the gravity powers.
Yeah, he's the brains of the operation.
So he's the one who keeps Forge's impulsiveness in check.
Tries to, at least. He's the voice of reason, the strategist.
I bet he's got his work cut out for him with those two at the helm.
Oh, definitely. But he's also incredibly loyal to Forge. They've been friends since before the Nemesis event.
It's like he's the glue that holds the whole organization together.
That's a good way to put it. He understands the importance of balance, of keeping Forge and Whisper from going too far.
Sounds like a delicate balancing act.
It is. But he's also a powerful metahuman in his own right.
Yeah.
His gravity manipulation abilities make him a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get on his bad side.
No, definitely not. He's not someone you want to mess with.
Okay, so we've got the brains, we've got the muscle, but what about the heart?
The heart.
Yeah, and we've talked about Bolt's conflicted nature, but is there anyone in the Iron Riders who represents, I don't know, a more compassionate side?
Well, that's where Smash comes in.
The cyborg.
Exactly. He might look intimidating, but he's actually the most empathetic member of the group.
Really? But he was a Baroon experiment.
Right. Yeah, but the Iron Riders rescued him. They gave him a home, a family.
It's like they saw something in him beyond just a weapon.
They saw his heart, his loyalty, his compassion.
And that compassion extends even to Bolt, who he sees as a younger brother.
He's fiercely protective of Bolt, always trying to guide him towards a better path.
So, in a way, he represents a glimmer of hope within the Iron Riders.
A reminder that even in the darkest corners of the world, there's still the possibility of kindness and redemption.
Wow, that's actually quite touching.
Yeah, Smash's story is one of the most compelling in the supplement.
It shows that even supervillains are capable of love and loyalty.
Exactly. They're not just monsters, they're people with complex emotions and motivations.
Okay, I'm starting to see a whole new side to the Iron Riders. They're still dangerous, still operating outside the law.
But they're also a family, with all the complexities and contradictions that come with that.
All right, so we've got a better understanding of the inner workings of the Iron Riders now.
Their power structure, their decision-making process.
And how they manage to balance their darker impulses with a surprisingly pragmatic approach to ruling Butte.
But there's still one member we haven't really talked about.
You mean Cap?
Yeah, the Fey Warrior. He's a bit of an enigma.
He's from another world, right?
A different realm, a different time.
What's his story? How did he end up with a biker gang in Butte, Montana?
That's a story for next time.
Okay, you've got me hooked. Okay, so where were we with the Iron Riders?
Last time, we left off with a bit of a cliffhanger.
Right, Cap, the Fey warrior.
He's a fascinating character, almost like something out of a myth.
Literally, from what I understand.
Exactly. He's from another realm, another time, but he found a home with the Iron Riders.
It's hard to imagine a centuries-old Fey warrior fitting in with a biker gang.
But that's the beauty of the Iron Riders. They're a melting pot of personalities and powers.
A superpowered family with a penchant for breaking the law.
You could say that. But Cap brings a unique perspective to the group. He's seen empires rise and fall, witnessed wars that span generations.
So he's like a walking history book, but with magical powers.
And a sharp wit. He doesn't always see eye to eye with the other members, especially Whisper.
Why is that?
Well, Cap values honor and tradition, things that don't exactly align with Whisper's methods.
I can see how that would create some friction.
Yeah, their personalities clash, but their powers complement each other.
So it's a love-hate relationship, kind of like Forge and Whisper.
You could say that. But Cap's loyalty ultimately lies with Forge. He respects Forge's strength, his leadership.
And Forge trusts Cap's judgment, his experience.
Exactly. They balance each other out, kind of like HV and Forge. And that's what makes the Iron Riders so compelling. They're not just villains, they're a family grappling with extraordinary circumstances.
Forced to make difficult choices in a world that's been turned upside down.
And their story, it's a reflection of the human condition, the struggle between good and evil, between ambition and compassion.
It's a story that makes you question everything you thought you knew about supervillains.
Because in the end, they're not that different from us. They're just trying to survive, to protect what they care about, to make sense of a world that doesn't always make sense.
And that's what makes the Modern Mythology ttrpg so engaging. It challenges you to think differently, to see the world from multiple perspectives.
To explore the gray areas, the complexities of human nature.
Because there are no easy answers, no clear-cut heroes and villains.
Just choices, consequences, and the ripple effects that shape our destinies.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into the Iron Riders Motorcycle Club.
Thanks for joining us on this wild ride.
We hope you enjoyed exploring the twisted world of these superpowered outlaws.
And if you're looking for a tabletop role-playing game that pushes the boundaries of storytelling,
look no further than Modern Mythology.
It's a world where anything is possible, where your choices matter, and where the only limit is your imagination.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep into the mysteries of the universe.
See you on the next Deep Dive.